Ooh, 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 my baby going up round. Ooh.
Go right here.
Put your leg, yeah.
Court records say Jamir Benson met a teenage girl at an apartment complex along Fayette Drive to trade a pair of shoes for a gun. Police say Benson shot the girl, took the shoes, and ran off. Paramedics rushed her to the hospital where she later died.
There are no words to describe the sheer senselessness of this tragedy. Sincere Thomas, a 17-year-old girl with a bright future ahead of her, had her life violently taken from her by someone who should have been looking ahead to the same future. Jamir Benson, a 16-year-old classmate, was supposed to be someone who shared similar dreams, but instead he turned to violence over a simple trade. Sincere had agreed to buy a gun from Jamir in exchange for a pair of shoes, a deal that never should have happened in the first place. But instead of completing the transaction, Jamir kept the gun, took the shoes, and killed Sincere in cold blood. This wasn't just a senseless act of violence. It was a life destroyed over something so trivial it's almost impossible to comprehend. Two families who loved them both dearly are now left broken, shattered by the choices made in that moment. A young woman's future is gone, and a young man's life is now marked by a decision that will haunt him forever. And the questions remain unanswered and haunting. Why did Sincere even need a gun? Where did Jamir get one in the first place? Why did he agree to the trade, knowing full well he had no intention of honoring it? Most painfully of all, why did he take her life if he wasn't going to follow through with the deal? There are no answers, only a tragic mystery that leaves us all asking, what happened? Welcome to the American Crime Femicide channel. Please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future uploads.
Where's Red at? That motherfucker's
It's a nail
growing.
shop. It's a nail shop.
Growing.
It's a nail shop right there.
We need to go get
Yeah, I just want a polish change, a regular polish change, and you need your feet done.
bad.
Yes.
Sincere was a vibrant, artistic, and loving young woman with a promising future ahead of her. Originally from Atlanta, she was raised by her mother before her father, Lamar, fought for custody and brought her to Indiana. There, Sincere grew up surrounded by a large, extended family, her aunts, uncles, and cousins. The close-knit family was part of what made Sincere's life so full of joy. Whether it was going to the movies, enjoying a trip to the park, or simply spending time with her loved ones at the zoo, Sincere cherished her family above all else. Her bond with her father was particularly strong.
Song's over. You see this man, and you see me. Nothing alike.
See her, everything alike.
Lamar was a doting dad who loved and supported his daughter in every way. He adored watching her grow into a young woman full of ambition and drive. They spent their time together doing simple things like daddy-daughter dances, shopping trips, and sharing countless moments of laughter. Lamar was proud of his daughter's dedication to school, her work ethic, and her dreams. Sincere worked hard to maintain good grades in her studies, and she also worked a part-time job to save money for her future. She was already planning for college and preparing for her upcoming prom. Despite all of her successes, Sincere began facing problems that were less visible. There were issues, seemingly unspoken, that led her to believe she needed a gun for protection. It is unclear exactly what troubles she was dealing with, but some speculators point to personal conflicts with other females at school or at work. Whether these issues were real or imagined, Sincere felt vulnerable and thought that a gun might be the solution. This is where Jamir Benson enters the picture. Jamir was a fellow student, one of Sincere's classmates. On the surface, Jamir seemed like a kid who had it all together. He was an honor roll student and had already started taking college classes in his freshman year of high school. Raised by his father, Jamir was instilled with a strong sense of hard work, ambition, and family values. He was always focused on his studies and spent his free time enjoying family activities. To their friends, families, and the larger community, both Sincere and Jamir were known as good kids. They were high-achieving, respected students who were expected to go on to college and build bright futures for themselves. Jamir and Sincere, in particular, were often described as friends, even though their paths were beginning to diverge in different directions. Their shared connection was one of youthful promise, and no one would have guessed that this connection would lead to such a tragic outcome. However, that promise was shattered when Sincere and Jamir made the disastrous decision to exchange a gun for a pair of shoes. It was a simple enough transaction on the surface, but one that would spiral into a senseless act of violence. According to online speculators, Thomas had confided in Benson about her problems with certain girls at school or work. She may have even shared her feelings of vulnerability, leading Jamir to offer a solution that no one could have predicted. Benson, knowing full well that the gun did not belong to him, but rather to his father, agreed to meet Thomas and exchange it for her shoes. He was well aware that the transaction was illegal, but he proceeded anyway, likely thinking that it was a harmless deal. The meeting was set to take place at the Black Pine Flats apartment complex, a place that would ultimately become the site of tragedy. However, Sincere had an uneasy feeling about the arrangement. She was no fool. Her instincts told her something wasn't quite right. Fearing she was being set up, she asked a friend to accompany her. This turned out to be one of the most heartbreaking decisions she would make. Tragically, Sincere's suspicions proved to be true. After meeting Jamir, who was accompanied by another unidentified male, things took a horrific turn. The exchange was supposed to be simple. Sincere was to trade her shoes for a gun. But as Thomas handed over her shoes, Benson made a fatal move. He demanded the shoes and then shot her. Without warning or provocation, Jamir pulled the trigger and Sincere was struck in the torso. The situation escalated within seconds, and as Thomas fell to the ground, Benson and his accomplice fled with the shoes. Sincere's friend, who had witnessed the entire exchange, immediately called the police. Emergency responders rushed Thomas to the hospital, but despite their best efforts, the young woman could not be saved. The gunshot wound to her torso proved fatal. She was only 17 years old, a girl with so much potential, so much life ahead of her. In the aftermath of the shooting, investigators pieced together the tragic sequence of events. The friend who had accompanied Sincere confirmed that she had suspected the meeting might be a setup. Police later discovered text messages between Sincere and a contact named Mir, in which they made plans for the exchange. In these messages, Sincere had expressed that she needed a gun for protection. These messages would prove crucial in linking Jamir to the crime, as the phone number linked to the text messages was tied to the device used by the shooter. Benson's involvement in this crime was undeniably clear. Although he had no intentions of actually trading the gun for shoes, he agreed to meet Thomas under false pretenses. The gun he used to kill her wasn't even his. It's speculated that it belonged to his father. If this is true, this raises even more questions. Why did he have access to a gun in the first place? And what led him to kill someone he considered a friend? Jamir was arrested the day after the shooting and charged with felony murder and robbery. He was found by the Homicide Task Force and taken to the Allen County Jail. He was charged as an adult, and the community waited to see what would happen next. While justice seemed to be moving quickly, it didn't ease the pain of Sincere's family. They were in the process of watching their daughter graduate high school, preparing for her college journey, when they were suddenly forced to plan a future without her. The life they had dreamed for was stolen in an instant. As the case continues, the community is left to grapple with the questions surrounding Sincere's decision to seek protection, why she chose Jamir to facilitate the exchange, and most crucially, why Jamir chose to pull the trigger. The betrayal is all the more painful because Jamir and Sincere weren't strangers. They were friends, classmates who shared experiences and laughter. But Jamir didn't see Sincere the way she saw him. For him, she became nothing more than an easy mark. He saw an opportunity to take advantage of someone he knew well, someone who trusted him. In the blink of an eye, that trust was shattered, and a life was taken. Now, Sincere's family is left to grieve a future that will never be. They have to accept the painful truth that their daughter, a young woman full of ambition and promise, is gone. They will never see her graduate, never witness her college journey, and never experience the joy of watching her succeed in life. As for Jamir, if convicted, he faces life behind bars, a fitting punishment for the cold, senseless crime he committed. But even that won't bring Sincere back. Justice may be served, but the pain of losing her will never fade. As the case moves forward, the community waits for more answers. Why did Sincere feel the need for protection? Why did she turn to Jamir of all people? And most importantly, why did Jamir kill her? These questions will linger in the minds of everyone involved as the family of Thomas navigates the difficult road ahead. May Sincere Thomas rest in peace, and may her family find the strength to carry on in her honor. This tragedy is a reminder of how quickly a life can be taken and how much pain can come from a single, senseless decision.